Tonight I want to talk about something that when people would ask, what is the most important thing that you've done? And I really believe it's some of the work that we've been doing around domestic abuse. It wasn't one of the reasons why I got that award, but when people ask me, I naturally always talk about the things that we have changed in the system. You know, managing prosecutors is not an easy thing. It really isn't. Changing systems in the criminal justice system is not easy. Because I think a lot of days, you know, the criminal justice system is like this large assembly line. And everybody has their own job. And so it starts with that 911 call. And then the police do their part. Then the public defender does their part. Prosecutor does their part. And everyone's got a role. Judges have a role. Community corrections, probation has their role. And a lot of days, we all do our work well. But we forget about the bigger picture many times. Because we're so focused on we got this big pile. And we're trying to get down to here. And so a lot of times as people are shuffling through the criminal justice system, we're processing. We're processing paper. We're processing volume to get it down. And I say that each one of those pieces of paper or those files represents the lives of people. I really believe that domestic abuse prosecution is homicide prevention. I really do. And so when I became St. Paul City Attorney, there were a number of things happening that advocates approached me about looking at the entire system. And for me, being an outsider, not having much experience in criminal law at the time, now I have a lot of experience in it. I think I'm probably a part of the system now. But having that fresh perspective, I was able to say, and I convinced my prosecutors that this is something that we have to do. We have to look at ourselves and look at how we interact with other agencies and think about how do we best accomplish the mission. The mission is not about going from here to here. The mission is about making sure that we have victim safety. The mission is about making sure that we hold offenders accountable in the system. And so we started a blueprint for safety in the city of St. Paul. And that blueprint is essentially not a best practice for each individual agency, but it's a best practice for the entire system to focus on offender accountability and victim safety. And what we found, and it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone who works in the system, that we could do a lot better if we would work and coordinate our missions, our individual missions, better with other agencies' missions. And as a part of doing all of that, we learned so much. And we never would have done that if we didn't take the risk of opening ourselves up to have someone from the outside look at what we were doing good and what we were doing not so well, and then suggest better practices for the purpose of victim safety and offender accountability. As an example, some of the things that we're doing right now, I really believe that we're saving lives. You know, tonight, there will be anywhere between 2 to 15 incidences of domestic abuse where the offender will be gone by the time the police arrive. Prior to implementing some of the changes that the blueprint suggested, what would happen would be is that the police would show up, they would get there, they would gather evidence, take photographs of any physical injuries, interview the victim, write all of that down and put it into a police report. And then they would submit that to the prosecution office. And what would happen is that a lot of times, because of that volume, those cases would languish, and we would handle them in a chronological fashion. So if you've got lots of volume, it might take weeks for those cases to be charged. And if you think about that, for the victims of domestic abuse, that is the wrong message to send, to say that the system will take 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month to get to your case. It's the wrong message for offender accountability. For the person who perpetrated that act of domestic violence to say that we don't really take this seriously and we'll get to it in a chronological fashion. So tomorrow morning at 8:30, a police officer and a prosecutor, now because of the Blueprint for Safety, will meet at the service center in City Hall, and they will go over the previous night's cases, the gone on arrival cases where the offender was not there. And they will do a risk assessment, a lethality assessment, to determine how much risk, how much danger is this victim in. And they'll look to make sure that we can obviously charge the case. And if those two things match up, we'll file a complaint and get a warrant issued out for that person's arrest immediately. And we will put all resources into finding that person. That is an example of agencies working together ultimately for that mission statement of offender accountability and victim safety. But we never would have done it unless we opened up ourselves and allowed people to suggest how we could do things better. And that is the type of leader that I want to be as the next Ramsey County Attorney, to be focused on that mission, to be a leader in the criminal justice system, to focus on trying to get people to do things that they otherwise would not do because they're so busy in the criminal justice system. I have a track record of being able to do that, and I think that is the biggest thing that I've got to offer to the people of Ramsey County, because for the past 4 years I have been really making a difference in trying to be innovative and trying to ultimately get everyone in the system focused on the mission statement and what we're all about, and not about our own mission statements and what best suits our efficiencies. And so that's what I have to offer. And it's just, I look around this room and I see a lot of great people who have spent really their lives trying to help the victims of domestic abuse. And I stand here today to tell you that I'm just very proud to have your support, and I need your help, because I think that if I can become the next Ramsey County Attorney, I will make a difference. So thank you so much, all of you, for being here, and it means a lot to me.